Close enough for the girls we go with. That's what we used to say when I worked construction. All right.
That little first joke there is going to be just for the people of YouTube because I'm not cutting it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You get a little something extra if you're a YouTube
For free.
watcher. Cheers.
Even though we've already had a sip.
Hello and welcome to the Moon Underwater. I'm Kelly Daniels.
And I'm Steve Jones.
Still have that kind of like knob-turning dyslexia.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of dirty.
It does. I wasn't going to say anything. It's for our British listeners.
Right. Knob-turning dyslexia.
A knob is also a thing on which you can change the volume.
That's right.
Yeah.
All you UKers and Irish listeners out there, which we have some, according to Spotify.
Nice.
Yeah. So how are you doing, man?
Back from the flu.
Back from the flu.
In Florida.
Yeah, back from Florida. Florida.
Yeah,
that's a good...
I had to go on a runcation down there and run with the flu for 14 miles. That fucking sucked.
A runcation?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was just so you could run.
Yeah, and not have to run out in the cold like I'm going to do Saturday when I do 15 miles.
Wow.
Who thought a spring marathon was a good idea? This guy.
Oh, so it's going to be... Wait, but the 15 is just training.
Yeah.
You just have to train, right? Yeah, I gotcha. Well,
I'm doing this again. So.
Sucks to be you, man. That's all I got to say about that.
Do you know what it's? You know it's not as bad as though. If I was like a sex robot.
What a beautiful. Hey, do you have a hook for our topic today, which you know by the title, which is Companion, a film recently out, still in theaters.
Yep.
Last time I heard that we actually saw at the cinema.
We did.
And that was
it was good,
lovely.
But there was no recliners.
There was no recliners, but it was the IMAX theater. It was giant.
Yeah.
And there were two other people and then us in it. It was like a weird time. It wasn't a statement on the popularity of the movie. But so we watched a film.
We did.
And we tried to take some notes. I did.
I can't wait to go through mine.
I can't read a single thing about the notes that I took. They all are scattered all over, and I'm writing like over the top of my. So
it's amazing.
I don't know.
I can't wait.
So Companion, we love sex robots on the Moon Underwater. That's been well established.
Sure do.
That is our kind of go-to. And so when the movie came out, we just got to see it. We weren't going to wait for reviews or anything, and we went on in and watched it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't think about hooks today. I was just sort of...
Let's come up with one.
A real quick hook, huh?
Yeah.
How about would you call a corkscrew a kind of hook?
Yes. We're going to talk about a really big, I think, plot twist in this.
Yeah.
I have some questions for you that I'm dying to see how you're going to answer, but those are only at the end.
Yeah. I guess no real hook except for a corkscrew definitely plays an electronic fancy person corkscrew where you just put it on the wine bottle and it kind of like does its thing by itself because,
Wait, are we talking sex robot stuff or like what happened in the movie?
Movie.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
That's a little...
There weren't any corkscrew like sex robot. As a sex robot, I feel like she was being a little underutilized. At least what we watched.
It's true.
And we
got to see one very unintimate sexy time scene with the sex robot.
The whole point was the guy was definitely not much of a lover. And I guess that's why you get a sex robot.
I suppose.
You don't really care about her pleasure when it's not a her, really. It's an it.
Right.
Or is it a her? I guess every single robot movie that we watch, every book that you read has the same question lurking below. Are they real people?
Right.
Do they have autonomy? Does, how are we supposed to think about them? Should they have rights? Or are they just machines?
Right.
And I don't know if that one answers it, but I don't know.
Well,
Should we just get to the plot, or do you want to?
No, I want to start at the beginning, where it's a good spot to start.
Yeah.
Right?
So wait,
we go into this knowing that one of the characters is going to be a sex robot, right? Like we have a pretty good idea as we're opening up the, through the opening credits, who that probably is. Okay. So
yeah.
That's Iris.
It's Iris. But I will say one thing. There was a review that I listened to an audio version of it, but I think it was in the Atlantic Monthly. And the review started off by just kind of criticizing the film, that they basically, on the poster, they made it obvious that she's a robot.
Right.
Where, and their point was, that would have been a good spoiler. Like, that would have been a twist if you went into it not knowing what it was about.
Oh, and we should say there will be spoilers in this.
There will, and it is a spoiler kind of movie.
You should definitely watch it.
You should watch it.
Yeah.
It's good.
It was really good.
I thought it was really good, and it's worth watching.
That's not even the hook. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Hit my face on the microphone.
It's kind of it's sort of a sci-fi speculative thing. It's sort of a horror story. It's also kind of a murder mystery thriller.
Weekend all wrapped up into one.
And it's all kind of these things, but it definitely tries to catch you off guard a number of times, and we will spoil that in this talk
thoroughly.
So watch it first if you want to, and if you don't care, you just love hearing our voice and you get enough out of it by just...
Which we totally would understand.
Totally, that's great. Yeah. You can go and hang out with your buddies, and they go, "Oh, did you see that new movie?" You could totally pretend.
Yep.
You go, "Oh, yeah, totally saw it."
And
then just have our opinions, which would be better than yours, frankly.
Totally.
That's why you subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Oh. So, we know by the poster that she's a robot because the poster shows she has blank eyes.
Iris is played by Sophie Thatcher, who nails it.
Yeah, she's great.
There's a little bit of cold to the character, where a little bit detached, a little sort of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she was great.
And one thing I liked, and that they showed highlighted in a way really quickly, they close up on her face. They do a lot of close-ups, but you notice that her teeth are noticeably crooked.
Slightly crooked.
Yeah. Like one of them is kind of out of place, and it made it seem perfect to me. Like, oh, if you wanted to order a companion robot, and they're not just like, it seems like their main quality that there's the product they're selling is girlfriend.
Totally.
Plastic girlfriend, not just somebody to put in a closet to take out for,
it's like the full experience.
Yeah.
Except.
And the fact that she isn't perfect.
Right.
She's quite cute.
Yeah.
And she's very girl next door.
Very.
But she's not at all what you would think of as like a porn kind of thing. And I thought that made her more endearing. And
my take on that was that this was designed for like an in public girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
But your normal sex robots are not.
Yeah, they would be a little more obvious.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So maybe that's it.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that, I kind of wonder how, I don't think that this was a bespoke product.
No.
That's just kind of like off the assembly line. So I feel like if you really spend the money, you get to pick every single feature. But I think they probably just had like a dozen models, and he picked one of them. And that she had physical flaws.
Yeah.
Just kind of like skin blemishes, not much.
Sure.
But I just thought it was interesting, and because you're going for somebody who you are going to pretend is real or you think is real.
Well, and they don't tell us right away about her. They're hinting.
Yeah.
And then they sort of hit you at one point with the delivery scene.
How quickly did you realize that the opening scene didn't happen? When they revealed it, or did you catch it earlier? Is that it? We watched it a little while ago.
I wrote it down. I wrote down what they said.
Yeah.
We see the world, but we don't really see the world.
Yeah.
And it was one of those as we just watched Blue Velvet, and I didn't pay attention to the opening scene. I'm like, whatever, this is some weird shit happening, and I don't know. And so this, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm writing this down. I'm gonna remember this.
Oh, she said that in the voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
So the scene is, she's in the grocery store, just going around, and it has that like Blue Velvet, like too perfect to be true, like, or corny.
Can I say what I thought it was?
Yeah.
And then it begs a whole other question.
Yeah.
I thought it was a dream.
Yeah, it seemed like a dream.
And so then the question is it a nod to do a robot's dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, maybe.
And the dream sequence in Blade Runner. And just asking.
Yeah, I think that it's a nod to it, but it's also just part of the lore of aware robots is that they're given memories that they haven't really had.
Right.
And so she's in a grocery store, and it's all too perfect. And then this
part, not the very.
And then this guy shows up.
Yeah.
And they make eye contact, and he grabs an orange from the produce orange thing, and all the oranges fall down, and he's embarrassed, and they both giggle, and pretty right then I'm like, okay, I've been to a lot of grocery stores in my time.
Never seen that.
And also the way that they stack oranges, they're just not going to make it to where it's that easy for the whole thing to fall down.
You hope not, anyway.
And so, and also that being, it was a meet cute, as they
call them meet cutes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Is that
what
a
I've
thing
heard.
now?
I've heard that term.
Really?
You've heard that? You've never heard that before?
No.
Meet cute.
No.
Meet cute is in the
Riz, I've heard of that. No
meet
cap.
cute is in the whole romance genre of movies, rom-coms and stuff, and you have to come up with a cute way that the characters met, and not grinder, like,
right,
like it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
So they have that. She meets him in this memory, and then she's driving with him, right?
Josh. Played by Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
And if you have not seen The Boys, and I know you have not,
don't
don't watch it with your parents, your
Okay.
child, maybe not even your wife.
Okay.
Like, it's one of those, it's definitely worth watching. He is on the show. It is a black comedy of it's phenomenal.
What's it called?
The Boys.
Boys.
It's on Prime.
Prime.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's, to me, the first two seasons are like on another level.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's also horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Like, that's Blue Velvet. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, oh my God. There are things you're not going to be able to unsee.
Oh, okay.
Some of them really funny.
I don't have, I'm not an Amazon Prime subscriber, so I would have to pay for it, but I'm not against dropping. Oh, but it's a series, right?
It's a series. Then you just binge it.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll see it one of these days.
Okay, but I like him a lot. I liked him.
Oh, he was good. He was he gets progressively worse. Let's just put it that way as a character.
He does, he was great.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he seems perfectly harmless at first, and then maybe just kind of skeezy, and then kind of lame, and then as bad as anybody could get.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we end up where Josh and Iris are taking a weekend trip to a lake house. There's a Russian dude that Sergey,
my favorite character,
who said, they're like, they get to the place and the lake house was a cabin, but it was like a mansion on a lake. And then they asked, "Do you own the lake?" He goes, "Don't be ridiculous. I just own all the property around it.
Yeah.
I can't own the lake." That's great. And so we're set up for this weekend.
He's a great Russian guy, and he just really is a fun character.
He was great. I don't have his name.
Nor do I. It's a Friend. I just looked at it earlier. His last name is Friend. Something Friend. So good old Sergey. His last name, Friend.
I do have it. I don't have it.
So anyway, we show up, and he's a rich guy, Russian guy, and it's
they don't tell us how he got his name,
almost immediately. No, they ask almost immediately, "What do you do, Sergey?" He goes, "Don't talk about it. It's a dirty business."
Right.
And he has I don't remember. He's got a weird mohawky kind of thing, and he just seems like a gangster.
He does.
And we meet Kat, who is, you wonder if it's like Josh's ex-girlfriend, because she is super bitchy to Iris right off the bat.
Yep.
Really, really over-the-top mean. And then we meet a couple of guys, and I don't know if, they're a couple at first, but they're gay. Like, one of them definitely is gay, and they're just like
Eli,
your fun gay friend that always kind of makes the party a little bit better because they're ready to, And Eli, there's another guy who I thought was with Kat because he's super crazy good looking, like too good looking. What's Eli? What's that guy's name?
That was Patrick.
Patrick is the other guy, and then you're kind of surprised when Patrick and Eli. I was surprised when they were a couple because Eli is kind of a chubby little guy and he's cute in a way.
Yeah.
But the other guy is like model hot. And you're just, and he's also cooking. He's doing all the cooking for the party, and he's like the chef kind of level. And I'm like, wow, one of them must have money, kind of unmatched couples in that way. And they just kind of party, right? They just have a bunch of drinks.
Yep.
And Iris is not feeling it. She's jealous because Josh is dancing with Kat at one point, and she goes and tries to steal him away on the dance floor because she doesn't like that. And that's when they have that little speech about love, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And she gives this speech about, oh my gosh, it's like loving somebody. Do you remember the speech better than me? It was this romantic, like, your purpose in life is to love. And when you meet that right person, and then only one person kind of relates to her, it's Patrick. And everybody else is like, yeah, whatever. They kind of roll their eyes, or they just don't get it, this idea of loving somebody with your whole being and it being like your purpose in life. And then the evening ends, and we have Josh having just the lamest sex with Iris.
Super lame. I have it.
And but then she's like unsatisfied, but still happy because he's happy.
I wrote banging the robot.
Banging the robot, yeah.
And that was in the dark. Look. I even did
nice.
okay there. Yeah.
Nice.
I was not banging the robot in the dark.
I was just writing multiple sentences over them each other, even though I thought I was like...
I did the opposite.
You did a great job.
One set of like thought here at the top of the page.
Yeah.
That's the top of the page thoughts. Maybe I wrote over it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then the bottom of the page.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you just split.
Next
you don't
time.
have to use the lines.
My note taking was I had to be pretty clever to even get there because I forgot to bring my notebook. But you remember what I did, right?
Yeah, I gave you a couple pieces of paper.
You gave me a couple pieces of paper, but I realized I can't just write on paper without a hard surface to write on. And so I stole a little plastic
I was waiting for a Viagra joke there.
No, there was like one of those plastic little signs from the snack bar where it says, the price of the popcorn on those little plastic. Yeah. And so I just kind of subtly grabbed it off of the counter and snuck on in.
And you threw it out on the way out.
No, I put it back where it went. It was funny. Nobody saw me grab it initially, but then they saw me put it back, but then by that time I'm out the door, baby.
Yep.
And but all that cleverness was for naught since I just did such a bad job writing in the dark. So you know what I need? Christmas is coming in about a year.
Flashlight?
Yeah. Christmas is coming in a year, all you listeners out there. Just so.
Yeah, we already got one present, so
yeah,
we could
that's right.
Probably go back to that.
Thanks to good old Sarah Gutowski.
Yeah.
Who we're probably going to hook up with again in L.A., I have to imagine.
Yeah. And
I
have to run when we're there, too.
Yeah. That'll be good. Good for you.
Sure.
Good for you, not for me.
No.
I will be at the pool. Just catching some rays. Yeah, there's a pool.
I'll be getting burned while I run, which I did.
There's definitely a pool. All right.
Okay, so...
He has
the next day.
lame sex with, and then the next day he wakes up, he's too hungover to go to the lake. And he sends...
You're never too hungover to go to the lake.
His-
That's the point of the lake.
It didn't seem right. It seemed wrong that
Right.
he was making this up. He just was sick of her. I thought he was just sick of her, and he just didn't want to hang out with her. And I thought he wanted to screw around with Kat, and they were going to have a little affair. But
Seemed
of
like it
course,
was
that makes
in the
no
cards.
sense. Why would you sneak around on your sex robot when you can clearly program her to not care?
He says,
you know.
Iris, go to sleep.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But at any rate, we don't quite even know. It's certainly possible to not know she was a robot by that point if you didn't see it in the
Right.
trailer and stuff like that.
A lot better.
I think it would have been. I don't think, but they wanted to make the poster look the way it did, which looked pretty cool.
I think they gave away a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes to the lake, and she's just there. And then Sergei shows up, and it's just the two of them. And he shows up not playing it for cultural stereotypes at all, with a big bottle of vodka.
It's amazing.
And nothing else, nothing else to go with it except a little glass, I think.
Okay.
He's pouring just like room temperature vodka into a glass and drinking it. And he wants her to drink with him.
Yep.
And then he wants to kind of, and she,
He wants to have his way with her.
yeah, and he starts groping her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Hey, that's what you're made for anyway." And of course,
Right.
we know what that means. And even if you didn't quite know, you could take
You
that
would-
as that's the sexist.
Yeah. I think that was
Russian guy.
It was kind of walking that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then she starts fighting back a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's also some little clues earlier when she opens up her bag. There's this like little piece of gear, there's this little like technical looking like flash drivey thing or something.
Looking thing, but I think that was something else.
But it was trying to just tell us something, that there was some electronic stuff going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's like fighting off Sergei, and then they flash back to the house, and Josh and all the others are just hanging out,
Yep.
talking. Do you remember was anything said there that kind of significant?
No.
I feel like that's the point where you get the feeling that Josh and Kat are conspiring in some way.
Yes.
Because they are talking
Like,
in some sneaky way.
yes.
Like about Sergei, maybe.
Agree.
So then Iris comes walking back by herself.
And she's covered in blood. It's
Covered.
a Carrie moment.
It's great.
It's totally from other,
Yeah.
again, it's been done a couple times, but I thought it was perfect.
And she's such a girl next door,
Yeah.
and so kind of like full of light and airiness and
just-
soft girl, and she's covered in blood, not just a
Not
little.
just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you find it funny?
Oh yeah,
I did too.
it was funny.
And okay, that's actually one of my first question for you.
All right.
I walked out of there saying I didn't cough, not probably then, not like I did afterwards. I found myself saying that was black comedy,
Yeah.
and it was more so than it was horror, which it's listed as for a genre,
Yeah.
and thriller, which I would probably agree. But there were some really funny parts in this
Yeah.
that would not be funny if it happened in real life, but that was how
Yeah.
it's preposterous, and so it's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. I was laughing, you were laughing. like,
Yeah. I laugh at more things than most people, I guess, has been
Yeah, I
established.
love that,
and
though. It opened my brain up that I could laugh at this movie.
Oh,
and some
yeah.
of the things like
I
her
think
being
things
covered
are-
in blood because she's like, I don't know what happened.
things are funnier than we're led to believe. Put it that way. There's this. I don't know where I got this. I read it somewhere, but it's like the secret of life is that life is a comedy, not a tragedy.
Ah,
And I think that holds up. And
would
also
agree.
it helps you get through the day, because it's all, we're here for a little while, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens. Then we're
Enjoy it.
gone
Yeah.
forever, and
Yeah.
that's it. And there's no reason. There's no just so you might as well enjoy the funny moments. You better laugh when
Enjoy the ride.
when it tickles you. So she has killed Sergei.
Who now this prompts the response at some point because I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I've never orchestrated a murder. Let's walk into that comment. Because I've never orchestrated a murder.
Who said that?
I believe it was Jack. It was either Jack or Kat.
Wait, Jack wasn't it Josh?
Josh.
Okay,
Just
Josh.
kidding. Yeah.
So Josh, yeah. So
Because we said that they were conspiring, so we can kind of walk it back. They were.
yeah. So do we want to just tell the whole plot right now? Is that
I think
yeah?
so. I think we're going.
It turns out. Oh no, yeah. Pretty quickly, right off the bat, Josh says, "Iris, go to sleep,"
Right. And then,
her eyes turn white.
yeah. Now, it happened the night before. She's talking to him in bed, and then he says it, but you never see her eyes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Immediately, it was more like, Iris, go to sleep.
Yeah.
But he did it.
Oh,
and she
I
goes
didn't
to
catch
sleep.
that.
Yeah.
But we didn't. And this time he said, "Iris, go to sleep," and it's a command.
And she's standing up.
And she's standing up, and her eyes go white, and she's frozen.
Yep.
And then, so the other two guys, now they know what happened. Or are they keeping it from Eli and Patrick at this point?
Think they kind of knew what was going on, Eli and Patrick, but they weren't
Well, no, they didn't
super
want
involved.
them in on it at first.
Right.
Because they're going to,
cut
basically, they're
them
going to,
in.
so they wanted to steal all of Sergei's money.
Yep.
He has millions of dollars in cash.
Stashed.
And Kat is his lover, and
his-
she's his she's kind of his sex bot in a way.
Yeah.
She's a human, but
And she doesn't like
he
the
has a
sex
family and stuff, but he just keeps her off on the side. And
She's all judgy about the sex bots.
oh,
which was
she hates
amazing.
her, and she goes, Why do you dislike me?" And she goes, "Oh, it's not you personally. It's just I just don't like how you remind me of how easily I could be replaced."
Yeah.
Because she recognizes that she's the same thing.
Right.
That what she's offering, that kind of companionship, has not very much value, especially in a
Right.
world where you could just have a robot do it even better.
Right. Well, so the question that comes up here is, I can't believe that one of those robots would just kill like that.
Yeah.
And
No, they're not allowed to.
right now,
And then
Josh goes, "Well," and I was like, "Oh, this is now is where this goes up my alley. This is great."
yeah.
He has jailbroken his companion robot. Do you know what jailbreaking is?
Yeah, it's breaking in through the controls, through the password.
Yeah, like back end
into-
stuff, right? You can send commands to, and you can do it with like phones, and you're basically gaining administrative access where you wouldn't have had it before, right?
Yeah.
So that was the premise that was the stick that was in the suitcase, the metallic thing, and he plugged it into his phone, and it gave him access to other parameters that, well, you otherwise wouldn't have, right?
As if they would make this robot that even can be turned into a full-on murder bot.
Yes.
Like, that seemed... Well,
That's the
maybe,
part I was least worried about.
Yeah, but should we just have a section maybe a little later where we just talk about, like, plot holey kind of things that...
I don't think that was potholy.
Okay, go ahead.
But we don't have to do it now. We can have a plot holy.
No, I'm
section.
curious why. So
Why
you
didn't-
think the fact that they would make these things to be killers?
I don't
that
think
you
they
could
made
just
it to be killers. That's the as a software nerd, I would go, no, that's what the software did when he, that's custom code. That's not what the company tried to make.
Okay.
And it's just a computer,
Oh,
right? It's a
okay.
brain. And so when he's done that, it's overriding, things that
Okay.
are built in. Just a thought.
I see. So when we see him messing with her controls, it's just these toggle,
I think, yeah.
or
Like
just not toggle.
sliders.
What are the sliders, switches that where you can turn things up and down? But
I
one of
turned
them,
my brain off for that entire part. I
but
guess.
wait. But one of them was aggression, and it was just a slider switch, and turning aggression up to 100 turns somebody into the Terminator,
Basically.
who just kills everybody.
Yes.
And also is super strong and stuff. I'm like, I just don't think in the society that they presented, which is basically just us,
It's now. Yeah.
that a technology like that would happen, and they would allow it to have that level of murder capability if it was a commonly retail product, which it just seemed to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they were actually selling them to be assassins, which makes
you
sense.
really thought about this. I'm impressed.
I didn't. This is how I watch movies. Especially if I just enjoy it, I enjoy it. The next day, I start thinking about all the things I liked. Day 3, I start thinking about
You're
all the
kidding.
things that don't quite add up.
Oh,
and so by
no.
the end of day 3, I've got a pretty good list of.
You're back to. I can't believe they fucked that up.
No, I don't think they did. I just don't think they worried about it. It's. I mean, they didn't take it that seriously, and I feel like in a movie that's going to stand the test of time, a Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I really think that the people in Blade Runner, the movie more than the book in a lot of ways, just really thought about it all, and also were just vague enough to where you really couldn't find anything particularly wrong with what was going on.
Yeah, definitely the movie. The book with the organ and the other stuff. There are some weird things that were in there that I don't think held up.
No, but okay. So anyway, he basically turned her aggression up a little, and then flipped the switch that said,
and he slipped a knife into her apron.
Yeah, he gave her a knife, and he I guess there was just a prohibition from hurting humans.
Right.
That he just sort of overrid. Do you feel like he was like a super tech guy?
No.
Because he was poor, which also made me wonder about how cheap or expensive these things were.
Well,
he rented.
Then he explains that he's leasing her.
Okay, I'm not rich. I could not afford a Ferrari, but I also couldn't lease a Ferrari like for more than a day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's he was leasing her for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know, maybe she's as I don't know, what would she cost?
I don't know.
That kind of technology.
They're starting to sell stuff like that, which I
don't think they work that well, though. She was pretty amazing.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Hey, can I take this for a test ride?
Oh, God. It's terrifying.
It is kind of terrifying.
Well, so he, what do they do with her? They tie her to the chair then?
Yeah.
All right. And what's
and then
the
wake
plan?
her up.
They wake her up.
He wakes her up
to the
just
chair.
so he can tell her that she's going to be turned off forever.
And by the way, you're a robot.
Yeah.
Which she did not really take too kindly to.
No, she didn't know. She was upset to learn this. And
there's reason to leave the room. So Kat and Josh, who are there.
So Kat is going, why did you wake her up? He's like, well, it's the least I could do. But when you think about it, there was absolutely nothing.
No point.
No, except for sadism.
Yeah.
Because it turns out that he is a sadist and he hates her.
He does.
And then we realize why he hates her. But we don't know that right now. But at first, it seems like he really is being sentimental. And he just goes, "Oh, you're a robot," and blah blah blah.
It's the robot breakup, by the way. I wrote that in my notes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a robot breakup.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's so sad.
It is sad.
And it was funny for that reason.
Yeah.
That it was a robot breakup. I was laughing as this was happening. I'm like, this is the part I'm laughing at because of how absurd it is.
By the way, The during the dinner before on the night one, I believe they opened a bottle of wine with this really fancy wine opener that was an electric.
Oh.
You just put it on top of the wine, and it automatically corkscrews in, and then automatically pulls the cork out.
I leaned over to you when we saw that.
Yeah.
When they showed it up close, and
Yeah.
I said, Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
That's going to be handy later.
And you were right. They
awesome.
They definitely did a close-up of this really particular electric corkscrew. So, and then they did it a second time, too.
Yeah.
So anyway, she decides she wants to escape,
Right.
and she throws herself down on the ground like she's taped to the chair, but the knife has fallen out, and she manages to cut herself free.
Conveniently, she gets free while they're not in the room.
Yeah, and she escapes
And
into the
where-
woods
Where are they?
in the middle of nowhere.
No, but where is Cam? Was it? What's his name? Patrick and Eli and Kat. Where are they during all of this?
I don't remember.
Believe they have broken into the safe
Oh,
because all of the passwords that
Yeah.
Sergei used was Lenin's birthday.
but wait, no, I don't. That's
think
true.
so?
She doesn't. So no, Josh and Kat are trying to steal the money, and they do not want Eli in on it because they would have to share it with him.
right.
So
And
I think
Patrick.
I think Eli and Patrick are just in their room because they're hungover,
Okay.
and so I think it's just Josh and Kat are in the safe room, and they open the safe because all his passwords are Stalin's birthday,
Right.
and it's just tons and tons of cash. And I think that's also when he finds out that he wasn't really a gangster.
Right. It's like legit businesses.
He was a
and-
sod farmer,
yeah.
which is why
That's
he
what it
said
was.
it's a dirty business.
It's a dirty business.
He was just some Russian oligarch, but who did like a real
Sod
job.
farming.
And he was a sod farmer.
like
And he's like, wait a minute. I thought you said he was a bad guy. He was cheating on his wife. He's like, yeah, but that's like, who cares? Like, do you want the money or not?
It was great.
So they want to take all this money.
It was
And then
$12 million. As I
$12
recall.
million. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You could live on that for
do that for a while.
a little while.
Yeah.
And they come out, and she has escaped.
Yeah.
And I believe
You're right.
somehow this is when they got to get Eli and Patrick in on it. And they go, hey, we got to catch her.
We need your help.
I think this is the point at which they have to tell him. Or
They
maybe
do.
they already did. Maybe you're right. But they didn't want to tell him at first, and that pissed him off.
Yeah.
Like Eli's like, wait, you were just going to do this without me? And they're like, hey, you're in. Are you in it now or not? Like, and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. So they go, and then it becomes a chase movie where they're chasing after her, and one of them has a big gun. Eli ends up with Sergei's big old 357 Magnum gun.
357, yeah.
So so they're chasing her through the woods. The reveal.
This is the crazy part.
Why don't you just tell it? I don't,
Yeah.
because I don't remember exactly the sequence.
So Iris is hiding behind a tree, and around the corner, we have Patrick and Eli, who are talking, and they're telling each other how much they love each other. We've seen their
Yeah.
meet cute.
They have a different meet cute that is. He tells a story about how they're at a costume party.
That's right. Eli's wearing a dinosaur suit.
And he goes, "Hey, you're standing on my tail."
Yep.
And he goes, "What? You're standing on my tail." And then he takes the
He
hat
takes
off.
The helmet
Levitt.
off.
Levitt first sight.
Yep, that's what it was.
Yep.
Well, so so we have Iris kind of listening, and that's our whole purpose for being there, is we see that she's hiding, and then Eli says, "Patrick, go to sleep,"
Yeah.
and his eyes go
So
white.
Patrick is a robot.
And
of
what
course.
a twist!
It was great.
and it was so obvious.
But it was so obvious, but I didn't quite.
and I didn't catch it.
Nope.
It was so obvious.
What was obvious is like, wait a minute, why is he so in love with this guy? And he's like, first off, just the
I mean, they did. They
Just
went
how
out of
one
their
was so
way-
much better looking than the other. But that you do see couples like that, and
They made it obvious that the meet cute for
yeah,
the for Iris and
yeah.
Josh was, obviously fake.
Yeah.
And if you think about what they put in the meet cute for Eli and Patrick, you'll be pissed at yourself that you didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
even more corny.
yeah. It was
And
just so generic.
They played
and
this
so
song "Little Boo Thing," and if you haven't heard it, you can listen to that and go, "Oh my God, that was used in it!" Like it was so over the top.
yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. But also the fact that when Iris is talking about love, the only person that understands her is
It's him.
Patrick.
Yes.
They are just these two creatures whose their program is to love the one that they are paired with.
Right.
And that's everything about them. That's their motivating factor. And so
It was great.
So
It was a great reveal.
So they chase. There's a big chase. She falls down a cliff.
Yeah.
Eli comes tumbling after. The gun is falling down. They wrestle with the gun. Boom.
Eli's gone.
gets the bullet right through the heart, and Patrick is stricken, and Iris runs away.
Yep.
And she's barefoot, and she's also programmed to not be very strong.
Right.
Oh no, we missed a whole big part.
Oh God, which part?
She gets a hold. Wait, when does she get a hold of Josh's phone?
That's towards the end.
Doesn't she already have it in the woods when she reprograms herself? Because
Yes.
that's what allows her to get away.
Yeah,
and
she
stuff.
grabs his phone.
So she has his phone, and
She puts intelligence all the way up to 100%.
yeah, she finds out the interface for herself, and then she can change her eye color, her vocal tones,
She can change
and
the language.
changing languages and intelligence. And he had her on. Do you remember what he had her on?
30.
I think 30, maybe 40.
Yeah.
And she was like, and there's this little kind of frown she has when she sees that.
Yep.
And yeah, he wants to keep her dumb.
Right.
And then she puts the intelligence up to 10, up to 100.
yeah.
Which is like the most, it's like a Ivy League grad is what they
Right.
said. That's the kind of intelligence that you can get. To 0 is like barely verbal, like,
Right.
They,
They just basically are taking orders.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she gives herself that intelligence, and then she takes off. And
She also increases the aggressiveness, I believe.
he already did, though.
But like she was like whoosh, off the charts.
Did she do that?
I think so.
Yeah, I know that he did that with, we haven't got to that part yet. Basically, Eli is dead, and she's running away, and then Kat and Josh find Eli's dead, and Patrick is bereft.
Yep.
And then Josh thinks fast and uses Eli's phone to he reprograms Patrick. He restores the settings.
Pressed him behind the left ear.
Yeah.
And there's like a button, and you hold that, and it reboots him to new, and basically makes Patrick then
Yeah.
his other robot.
Yeah.
They
So
share
anyway,
robots.
he turns him into, and he reprograms him into his new lover in a way.
Right.
Even though the thing is, with this companion robot, you don't have to have sex with him, and so
Right.
it's
Well, wait a minute. Who made that rule? Like what?
but he kind of pairs and has the same like meet cute with them, but then he turns Patrick's aggression up to 100.
Yeah.
I
you remember what happened?
I don't think that Iris ever did that to herself, because she would have been able to kill. She would have been able to at least fight Patrick, because she was still pretty wimpy.
I'm looking.
He said he turned it up a little and then flipped the switch that she can't hurt people. But I didn't notice her do that. I just noticed her turn up the intelligence.
So Kat goes to leave, right? She's going to leave with her half the loot, as it were.
Yeah.
And let's see. Josh says to Eli, stop her.
No, Patrick.
Sorry. Right.
Yeah.
Patrick says, stop her.
Yeah.
And he walks up behind her and stabs her in the back.
Yeah.
Man, that was great.
Yeah, it was.
And he's like, what did you do? He's like, you told me to stop her.
Yeah. And he's at 100.
And 0 intelligence.
Yeah.
It was great.
They'd caught Iris by this time, I
Would
think.
you say that vaguely the state of today's sex robots is about what those things were set at 0?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. That'd be...
Totally. Yeah.
These were really good sex robots in terms of their capabilities.
They were.
And I do kind of wonder about... I'm getting into
the things that...
My questions.
Yeah. All right, me too.
Just how incredibly great... Like, almost nothing works as well as it's supposed to work. Self-driving
Except for
cars
sex robots.
still suck. And these sex robots were really amazing. Like, I just think a world that has that technology... They're going to have every single job is going to be done by a robot. There's not going to be there's no reason for humans because these things were basically humans.
And they're better than human.
Better than, because so that's the kind of moral aspect of it or whatever, that these things were, there was no question that it was immoral to treat them this way because they felt it, and they talked about the way that love feels, and they said, what does love feel like? It said it hurts. It's like it burns. And
that comes in handy later for our sadists.
Yeah, that's right. But Iris gets caught because a cop catches her, and then she's kind of clever about, she reprograms herself because they can't lie.
Right, they can't lie.
Which is funny because out of all the different things that he changed, I guess he wouldn't have changed the lie one. He wouldn't have wanted to, but presumably that could be changed. Oh, yeah, and it was, ultimately. Right. So he, anyway, she gets caught by a cop, but then she makes herself speak German so that when he asks her questions, she could tell the truth, but he won't.
And only in German.
Understand it, yeah.
Yeah. That was clever.
And then
but
Patrick...
But isn't that a lie to not speak...
English?
I mean, it seemed like, all right.
I don't know. I think
it's... for plot holes now.
It's like a lawyerly kind of thing. Like, yeah, maybe it's a lie, but... But she also said that she spoke English. I mean, that she was programmed to speak German, whatever. That's her clever way of getting away from...
So if she heard somebody speaking another language, she would automatically understand. That wouldn't seem weird to her.
Yeah.
Maybe we should cover the other reveal was that Patrick says he figured out that he was a robot because they told him.
Yeah, he kind of knew that even before.
He's like, wait, you knew? Eli says, wait, you knew? And he goes, yeah, I kind of pieced it together over the years.
Yeah. And he'd been with him for years. So, yeah.
So that was a question, and it was a this is sort of, it feels more relevant now given everybody talking about AI and, different than generative AI, right? Just AGI, right? Just knows everything. Really smart.
General AI, they call that, right? General intelligence.
AGI.
AGI.
Yeah, artificial general intelligence.
Right.
This was a little bit asking the question, right? Of, is this a person?
Yeah.
Is this, should it have autonomy and free will?
Yeah. The answer was yes. In Blade Runner, the book.
Oh, it was no.
We were like, no, don't let these.
Hell no.
These things are not ready for prime time at all.
This didn't seem fair, right?
No, it was obvious that they were actually just like humans that have been enslaved.
Basically. Yeah.
But I do think that it was that kind of philosophical question to me I didn't take it as seriously as I might have because the movie was just kind of goofy and fun.
It was kind of goofy and fun, but I
And-
think there was I think there was a little bit of that.
There was. It was there. And then it turns out that Josh is a sadist and he's later torturing Iris.
Yes.
And he's he's just a misogynist kind of, and he's this guy who can't. He's the lonely man who can't get a girlfriend and
Right.
is really he's an incel, right? He's like full on. That's the point of him. And I also thought he was just kind of a loser, and he was taking it out on When I start taking the movie a little more seriously, though, he seems more of a stereotype than a full character. Like the filmmaker wanted an incel, so we're going to come up with an incel.
Okay.
And he's going to be a misogynist, and he's going to start off seeming like a nice guy, but at the end he's going to be sadistically torturing his bot, which can actually feel pain. And
there was an early mention of that,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it was during the delivery of her, which was hilarious because they had to you want the full live-in girlfriend experience, right? So they're moving in clothes, and then she's got the sleep chamber or whatever.
Yeah,
super weird.
It is weird. It's a coffin kind of.
It's basically a coffin, but one of them says, well, there's also weirdos that keep these things tied up in their basements and beat them up.
Yeah.
Words to that effect, right? And it's that's super weird. And then by the end of it, that's who our main character is.
Yeah. You're going to... It's interesting. I heard a guy, the author of our first Sex Robot podcast, Ted Chiang. Ted Chiang was, I heard him on a, Ted Chiang, good old author of The Life Cycle of Software Objects.
Yeah,
that
was
one.
great.
Wonderful story. And I heard him on a podcast, and he was concerned. People were talking about AI, and he's like, are they going to become too powerful for us? Are they going to overtake us, and they're not going to be aligned with it? He goes, I'm not worried about that. I think they'll evolve like other kind of organisms, and first they'll be abused by us. And I'm worried more about that we'll have these conscious creatures that can feel.
Yep.
And people will torture them.
Totally.
They will use them. Well, just like the way he goes, look at how we treat animals. They're there for our amusement and our food. And why wouldn't we would treat software, kind of artificial things the same way, and we wouldn't let them get power.
Worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like this was working with that. I thought that why I didn't take it as seriously as I might have is because they're too it was all too perfect. The creatures, the robots just didn't have a flaw.
No.
And they looked just like people. You couldn't tell them apart. And they could do everything. You could control them perfectly. There was no chance unless you kind of totally reprogram them. They can't harm you. They're happy to be. And it wasn't I guess I would, as far as just grappling with the morality of it, I thought that, let's say, the life cycle of software objects actually was.
Oh yeah, you think this was a little more ham-fisted?
Oh, it is for sure.
I would agree.
But it was also just a really smooth 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Oh, it was great.
It was never boring.
No, it was amazing.
It was just completely
it's funny.
Scene after scene after scene was exciting and funny. It all made sense.
It all made sense.
It was great.
It was fun to watch. The reveal is amazing.
Yeah.
They nailed it. I thought this was. I loved this movie.
Yeah, I did too.
And I cannot wait to watch it again. I will buy this one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, buying the sex robot movie.
Yep.
Wait, what?
We got to see. I guess we're gonna one of these days have to do Ex Machina.
I started watching that thinking we were going to do it.
Yeah, we'll do it one day.
That movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that movie is fucking awesome, and that one is. Let's just put it the opposite.
Yeah.
Of you've seen it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't talk about it here.
No,
but
get
ready to live when we watch that one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's next.
Maybe we could just. I don't know. Maybe we should. Well, we'll think about it.
All right.
But do you want to do 2 sex robots in a row, though? She's not a sex robot, but...
Do I want to do 2 sex robots in a row?
Do you have the stamina? Yeah.
Used to. I'm not.
Yeah, you're slowing down, I guess.
Slowing down in my old age.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like that there's something to be said for this being like the movie about the, quote, perfect girlfriend.
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
I like that as a topic. Yeah, she's too perfect.
She's too perfect.
She's boring as a perfect girlfriend.
And he wants her boring.
Yeah. He doesn't want a real girlfriend.
Right. Otherwise, he'd have one.
Yeah.
Seems obvious.
Maybe, yeah. He's not a terrible-looking guy, and he's good at, like, jailbreaking sophisticated computer stuff and just reprogramming them.
Yeah.
Seems like he has some skills, like,
So what I would say is that was a maybe a nod to like the phone communities, in particular on the Android systems.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, like 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, young, that taught themselves how to code, and they figured out how to like get into the phones. They're in some cases they're doing the actual like, here's how we broke into the bootloader to get our stuff to run. In others, they're modifying the software that runs on them, and people download and use these things. And I'm like, that felt real to me.
Yeah.
Is that we do it to our phones. I'm pretty sure it's a thing with electric cars like Teslas and other cars that have additional menus and other things you can kind of break into. So I was like, of course people are going to do this to fucking sex robots. Yeah. Like, oh my God, it's so obvious. How did we not see that? Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like the
It also seemed really easy, though, because she gets captured, and then I'm trying to remember how it all goes down. And then they bring, he makes her shoot herself in the head.
Yeah. A lot happened in this.
Yeah. He first makes her put her hand on fire, and it catches on fire, and it melts her, and he's turned her down.
Skywalker hand.
Yeah, and she turns her down to.
That's what that is in my notes.
To one.
I wrote Luke Skywalker hand.
Oh, you couldn't read it?
I was like, why?
Yeah,
Luke
that's right.
Skywalker hand.
She definitely. I thought it was more Terminator, but by the end, so her hand is on fire, and she feels it, and she's crying, and he's completely getting off on it.
Yeah, he's a crazy.
And then he has the company come in to grab her, but he makes her shoot herself in the head, and she can't not do it. So she shoots herself in the head, falls down, and then the technicians come to pick her up, and they're like, "Oh, wow, this is weird. She went crazy. Wow, that's strange." And he goes, "Well, we'll figure it all out once we get the hard drive." He's like, "What do you mean?
What do you mean?
It's damaged, right?" He goes, "Oh, no, there's nothing in her head. It's just like some Wi-Fi."
Yeah, the Wi-Fi antenna.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi antenna. It's
it's
down here in her reproductive parts. Yeah. Is kind of where it was, like, and he's like, "Oh, wait," and then they take her and put her, and then the assistant kid, he's like, "What do you think happened?" He goes, "That guy's toast." Yeah. He goes, "Oh no, there's these sickos. He did all this, and it's all going to be in here."
Yep.
And then Patrick shows up. Yeah. Murder bot.
He is murder bot at that point,
and he's pretending to be the cop, and he kills the technician, and then the assistant kid, tries to escape.
Yep.
And he runs away, and then Patrick's about to kill him, and then Iris wakes up somehow because she's rebooting in the van.
Lucky timing.
Yeah, it's good timing. She reboots. She gets up, and she runs into the forest, and she saves the kid by talking to Patrick and convincing him and reminding him that he loves Eli, and that Josh. So he still kind of had the memory of Eli,
Yeah.
even though he was rebooted.
That part.
You didn't buy that, huh?
No.
Yeah.
No way.
It sort of needed to happen, but that's.
It did need to happen so that they could.
But it's also how
make
the
it
movie.
Like they're human, right?
It's also a little bit how the movie cheated and made it too easy, because they were too human. They
too
weren't
human.
robot enough.
Yeah,
and
they weren't
I feel
robot
like
enough.
if they were more robot, it would be a little more morally ambiguous being mean to them. But it was so obvious that they were just humans that happened to be mechanical.
Yeah.
But he kills himself.
He does.
And then the kid goes, "Oh, thanks for saving me." She goes, "Oh, do something for me." And then she shows up in the house, and she's like, "Oh, my, you don't control me anymore." So like in like 2 minutes, he sort of this little robot technician kid somehow freed her of all her settings.
Yeah.
Which seemed a little fast and,
Very.
like
That was
almost like
fast.
flipping a button, but whatever, she did it.
Yeah. I mean, the speed at which things happens now, like on a daily basis for me, is I'm always blown away by how much faster things go now
Yeah.
for like when we're loading something than it used to go.
Yeah.
So that's transfer of bytes and bits, just ones and zeros.
I guess I didn't know. I was trying to imagine what that kid did. I just figure it was like taking your computer in to have, I don't know. I was just imagining the kid having to rewrite code and stuff like that to do all this. And like, it just seemed like a pretty big project to completely transform the purpose of the machine. But
Oh, I don't think he was doing that. You mean Josh?
no, the kid.
Oh, the kid.
The kid changed her set.
Got it.
The kid was the one that somehow totally freed her of all the hold that Josh had on her.
Okay.
And I don't know how he did that, but if it is just like a flipping a switch thing, and he basically gave her total autonomy, but it just seems like these things are not built for that ever. Like
No.
they wouldn't, being able to operate.
They have to go in and get service done.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
how's that work?
Yeah. So anyway, but it was a quick thing. They wanted to wrap it all up at the end, and a lot of things happened real fast.
It happened real fast.
And he was torturing her, and then Patrick kills himself, and then
Wait,
and then there's the very end where
he
she's
kills
got,
himself?
yeah,
Really?
Patrick, yeah, he shoves after he finds out that Eli was his true love, he puts the electric shocker in his own mouth and shorts himself
he
out.
does.
Which I don't know why
Yeah.
that would kill him, but
Well, they had to get rid of him.
yeah,
I
they
don't know.
did.
So,
But he has those shocker stun guns.
yeah.
And he put it in his own mouth and he just shorted out and smoke coming
Even
out of his
though
ears.
his head is only his
I
Wi-Fi.
know, I know.
They
It's-
just told us that.
I know. There's
Oh, that's another one of on your list. There's now
they were trying to end the story, and they were just kind
zapped
of
himself in the stomach
yeah. He did it in his mouth.
or in his nards.
Nards.
Amazing.
That would have hurt. It probably too
Life's a nard.
too tender. Yeah, and then at the end, then they did that thing. I have to say, this is
They go back to the beginning.
this is a critique. Going back to the beginning, I kind of like, but I'm tired of the good guy has actually won. It's all over. Oh, but there's one more jump scare, and then
Yeah.
somehow the tables turn once again. And she's like, he goes, "You won't do it because you can't do it." And he goes, and she can't shoot him, and he takes the gun away from her, or something. And then they had to wrestle.
Yeah, there's a robot fight scene.
There's a robot human fight
Yes.
scene, and then she shoves the corkscrew into his head,
into his temple,
and pushes the button so it's like automatically
it very
drilling.
Slowly goes in.
Slowly into his temple.
Into his eyeball.
And then it pulls it out,
pops
like
his eyeball out.
Yeah. And she goes, "Go to sleep, Josh."
It's pretty sick.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I just thought that the ending was like, anyway, it was fun. It was satisfying.
It was funny, though.
It was funny, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that she finally got
did.
him pretty well at the end.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she just becomes herself, and then she's just out loose in the world, even though, like you said, she's going to have to get serviced at some point.
So what are you going to do for a job? Like,
Yeah. She could get a job, but she doesn't have a ID or anything, right?
Yeah.
She couldn't drive. You notice that?
Yeah.
And I think it pretty much made it clear, like, she was not allowed to drive.
Yeah.
And she didn't even think about it, but he had that self-driving car.
Yep.
What do you think? We talked about the morality of the robots and stuff.
Yeah.
What about the Josh? And I've talked about this a little up until now. Do you think the incel character, the fragility of the man who can't get a girl, I don't know, is that being just, here's a couple of dudes who are, but married dudes, we're not incels, I guess.
Right.
I think technically, I don't
They
know
were
what's
pretty
going on,
normal.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just a couple of guys, but I'm like, are we starting to get a little tired of that trope that men are the problem for everything, or maybe not that, but I don't know. Making a character like Josh, who is this like psycho misogynist, who is meant to stand for all of those
It's a trope.
kids,
All right.
all those like incel-y kids who hate women and feel like they're entitled to have
Right.
sex and all that. And I don't know. I felt like he was just too on the nose, and it wasn't super interesting when I got the moral message of it.
Yeah.
It was like, whatever. I mean, it's kind of the same message that's in the Barbie movie, and it's the same and you can kind of trace it. It's this pop culture thing that is a reaction to real stuff going on in the world.
Yeah.
But I just sense that we're getting at the end of that arc.
I think so.
Just because it's been played so many times. And if anything, we're entering the arc of maybe we should do something to try to help some of these sad, lonely young men and boys who are desperate and spending all their lives playing video games and being online and don't have friends and don't have girlfriends or are never going to have a girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, instead of that character being the villain of every story, maybe we should, as a society, start having compassion. As a father of a 13-year-old who doesn't seem to have those problems
at
all.
Those problems.
But, I mean, I just think statistically, young men are really struggling in all kinds of ways. And they're not, and young men up until not young men, but they're not making as much money. They're dropping out of college. They're doing poorly in high school. And they just have this high suicide rates, high addiction rates. Oh, yeah.
See, I have two girls, so
it's huge.
For me, it's like
you had girls at the right time because women are ascendant and men are descending. Yeah. And part of it is just the newfound power of women, which is a great thing. But the tables have flipped. There was a time where we had to be concerned about women. We need to get more women into STEM programs.
Right.
But I feel like we're now getting into we've done the men are awful, men are horrible, they need to be punished.
Honestly, we are.
I know. We are. We deserve everything we get, but
they don't need to talk about it all the time, God damn it.
Well, there's been so many movies about it. I think we don't need any more.
Another one. Yeah.
No, I just think society doesn't want all of its males
and I'll
to
point
be
out
totally
that Eli
useless.
was the salt of the earth, this great guy.
Yeah.
And didn't torture his sex robots.
No, he liked him.
Right.
Yeah, he kind of loved him.
It's
even
the straight
maybe,
white guy is what we're saying?
Yeah, it's the straight.
It's the straight white guy.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Eli was pretty bad, though. They were all wanted the money.
They did want the money.
Cat
and Eli
was,
wanted it also for
He wanted 4 parts.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
That's
because,
when we find out, or that's when he
they're
tells
negotiating. He goes, okay, we're going to split it 3 ways.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you mean 3 ways? There's 4 of us.
He's
And
like,
then they
he
roll his
doesn't-
head, and then he goes, Patrick, go to sleep.
Yep.
And then Patrick's that's where we realize he's like, no, I'm not
that's
giving
when
you.
we realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I'm not. No, we're not going to give you Patrick a full, like
Right.
he's your robot.
Right.
But Eli was the guy that took the robot seriously.
He did.
Treated him like a real person.
He sure did.
But he had no problem killing Iris and Sergey to get the money.
No.
Like that was
No
He was not a good guy.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I
So
think
I like that.
agree.
So the gay guys are better than the straight guys.
Yeah.
Kat was pretty bad though. I don't think that you can. But her anger,
She got stabbed in the back by a robot.
she did. But her anger at Sergey was that he was treating her like a sex robot. So it's
True.
really Sergey's fault.
It is.
So it is all
probably
the it's
Sergey's
all
fault.
the straight guys.
It is. It's
straight
oh, God.
and
Forgot.
straight white guys too.
It's true.
And because Eli was also a
Nobody
person of color.
understands our plight.
Eli was also a person of color as well as gay.
I like that you glossed
Yeah,
over
two.
that comment.
Because it's obvious, as we listen to Billy Joel on Yep. I don't know why I would say this. I try not to think about race too much, but this definitely seems like a white song. Billy
Really?
Joel's The Piano Man.
It's like the whitest song now that I'm
that's
thinking
what I'm
about
thinking.
it. That's true.
That and Huey Lewis in the News.
Ooh. American Pie.
It's pretty white.
Pretty white. Wait a minute. There's the whitest song of all time. That should be the hook.
Yeah.
We discussed what is the whitest song of all time.
Yeah. And only people that listen to all the way to the end.
You have to listen all the way to the end
Yeah.
to get these little nuggets.
The best thing. Yeah. We end strong.
I think it's Don't Stop Believing. You play
That's-
that in this bar right now. There's somebody dancing on the bar, belting it
Don't
out.
Stop believing. Yeah.
By Journey.
Yeah. I guess so.
Come on here and defend yourselves.
I
you
didn't even
cowards.
ring for Billy Joel.
I
I think
know.
Billy Joel gets short
I like
shrift.
the song too.
It's a great song.
Yep.
He's there's this theory I just read it on Facebook. Facebook.
Facebook. Ever heard of it?
Sure. The dorkiest social media, the boomer social
It is
media.
now. Yeah.
Oh, it's been
all
like
the
that for a-
old, all the olds went on there.
I know. But it's anyway. I'm an old.
I qualify.
But gosh, what was I going to say about? Oh, there's this theory. Somebody just wrote about how, and they go through it all. How it's all how the Piano Man is in a gay bar, and he's the only one there that doesn't know it. And there's John, the real estate novelist who never had time for a wife.
He's talking with
and
Davey.
and the
who's
guy in
still
the Navy is still in the Navy. And he'll probably be there for life. And then when the other guys say, "Man, what are you doing here?" It's because he's the only straight guy.
I
And
like
they're
that. I like that. It's got to be true.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So
yeah.
what else did you have? I have a couple other odds and ends.
No odds and ends.
All right,
I
so-
can't read my notes, so I.
I love a movie with good sound.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this movie had great sound.
Nice.
And it was both big and huge and loud, and then it would be silent, boom. And I love that.
Nice.
And this movie had a ton of that, and it was really well mixed. The music was great.
Yeah. And we were in the IMAX too,
we
where
were.
we had a good sound system.
Yeah.
I think.
So watch it with the volume up if you can, and a
Yeah.
good surround sound setup if you
Yeah.
can. But I thought whoever did the sound mixing was spot on.
Right on. Sound mixing guy.
So following this, I had heard of another movie that I decided to watch. It's not one that we will likely review here.
Yeah.
It is The Substance.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's good.
Yeah, but it's really bloody.
Yeah.
There's really gross stuff in it.
Yeah.
Super gross.
I hear that. Don't tell me how it ends. I think I should see it.
I couldn't even describe to you how it ended.
That's how people. Yeah, I hear it's really shocking and wonderful
You have to
and all
watch
that.
the whole thing all the way up to that, and it's super shocking. I didn't love it.
Oh, you didn't love the movie?
No.
Okay. Got it.
too much.
Yeah.
Like
Too much substance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's really
You like a medium amount of substance, but they had like
lower than that.
Yeah,
Even,
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's me we're talking about
yeah,
here.
they're just way too much substance.
91 minutes. You couldn't have gotten it down to 90.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like,
yeah, right.
My attention span leaves. But
Yeah.
it was gross. And
I
like
can
gross
tell
for
you-
being gross.
I can tell you why I didn't want to watch it.
Okay.
Because it is a movie about a Hollywood movie criticizing Hollywood. And I've seen those movies so many times and I'm sick of them. I'm like, hey,
Yeah, but
the rest of the world doesn't care as much.
To me, more is naked in it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
That part was good.
Yeah. She's
There's-
old too.
She is old.
Looking
And
good though because of the substance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no. And so,
despite the substance, she's
that's the part
just
you got to
gotta-
see.
All right. Maybe I'll see it. I don't know.
It's
I started watching The Penguin last night with
Well, that's good.
my son.
yeah, that's a good one. Good series.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yep.
I like the
Oh, Colin Farrell's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like himself.
He never does.
Yeah.
So how do you know what he looks like then?
I
If he never looks like himself,
Yeah.
how are you sure?
Yeah.
Maybe this is just like him normally in
Yeah.
Penguin.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
let's see what
um,
else. That's all I got, man.
Well,
I've been out of beer for a while.
I know.
chugged those.
yeah,
You
they
nursing
go
that?
down nicely. I would just say I really like it, and keep the sex robot stories coming because I like the topic, and it because it's racy, but it also gets us to big questions, and because the first thing that happens when we have the technology to make, I mean, there
Yeah.
are like sex dolls that can't really move and talk and stuff, and people do whatever they
without
want.
imagination.
Yeah, but the moment they can get them to do more and more, they will.
Yeah.
And whatever kind of technology exists, they use it. So that'll be just like the internet. The first thing that happened was porn. The first thing robots happen, they're going to be sex workers. And so it's going to happen, I assume. And so it's
I think it's already happening.
how
There's
so?
like robot sex brothels. Sex robot brothels?
It's already happening.
I think so.
But
I
but
mean,
they
they're
don't
not the same.
do anything, right?
Right.
They, maybe they can do emotion.
Did she look like she was doing much when she was
that was his
in the
problem, not
rope walk?
hers.
And it was like a quick hump and a roll off.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we saw.
that's
and she
why I
looked
was going to
pretty-
say, if you're going to spend all that money, you never answered the question. How
Oh.
much would something like that cost?
50,000.
I was thinking that, like in
50s.
today's money.
Sure.
So as much as a Tesla or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a big purchase for somebody who's upper middle class and above.
I would agree.
And so that's why that guy living in that tiny little room, unless he bought it just so he could steal Sergey's money, but let's face it, their plan was pretty shitty. The whole thing rested on the assumption that he was going to sexually assault her and that
Yeah.
she would kill him. That seemed sketchy, to just know that was going to happen.
Okay.
Because
So this is your beef.
it's one of them.
Okay. We got to go through these.
Now
then.
the movie doesn't happen if he doesn't try to rape her or assault her.
Right.
Right. So you have to have it happen.
Right.
But they were betting everything on that one thing happening, and it totally happened 100% like they thought it was going to happen. And I
And-
just think that is not a very good plan for murder.
I've never orchestrated a murder. They say that out loud.
That's what all the murderers say.
Yeah. I've never orchestrated
Steve.
a murder.
That
Okay,
usually-
what else?
That's it.
This
No.
was the airing of grievances.
How much money it cost and why he was able to afford it when he
Okay.
seemed like he was poor.
I think he was just boring.
Yeah, but his room was really shitty and small. I thought that was part of it, because if he was rich, he could get
He'd have
a
a babe.
girlfriend. Yeah, even if
On the arm.
yeah,
All right.
So there's that. How did he afford her?
By the way, this is the section of the show that we call Kelly Daniels Ruins the Movie.
This is the section of the podcast where everybody already turned it off a while ago. So
I like this.
And the guy is good enough to jailbreak this thing, and he seems to be pretty tech savvy.
Yeah.
Like he really broke in and did all this, and yet he didn't know that her head didn't have
the stuff in it,
the computer
that
in
doesn't
it.
make any
Like
sense. Like I would know that,
yeah.
and where my sex robot had all of her memories. Of course,
you would.
I would.
I just think you would know how. Here's another one. She really seemed like a wonderfully pliable human. Her hand burns away, and it's basically a rubber glove over a Terminator claw.
Pretty easy, yeah.
I don't think that technology would have those facial expressions and being able to do sexual acts in this way that is really...
All right.
I just think that if they're going to come up with a sex robot that really works, I think it's going to be a bio thing where they're going to grow it in a lab, like through...
That's so weird.
I think. Because I just don't think you're going to have a titanium skeleton.
The hook in this episode, we pontificate on what real sex robots will look like.
I do. I think that they'll grow them in labs they'll be more like clone things that, you know, I think.
Okay.
Because I just don't see them being like steel and rubber. Like I feel like the material needs to feel more like...
They should have been a lot heavier if they were steel and rubber. Like that was the other... They didn't...
Yeah.
Like nobody seemed to be struggling picking them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Don't get it.
All right.
So that's all.
That's all I got.
Otherwise, though, I liked it very, very much.
It was quite good.
Yes.
Yes.
Here's to Sergey.
Here's to Sergey.
Poor Sergey.
I do not have...
He went down the way he came up.
Yes.
In the dirty way.
Love it. He just got canceled in Russia.
Yeah. Good. Russia.
Yeah.
Those guys love us. It's where, you know, they don't know it.
Farm working for us there.
They don't know us yet, but they will. Yep. All right, everybody. Thanks. See you later.